Vince Staples could have literally become one of the biggest rappers in the world. However, after he got famous, his entire mindset on the industry shifted. Whether it was for something as simple as radio hosts asking him to freestyle.
Because I'm not gonna be sitting there rapping for no white man for no hour, man. That's the auction block.
Or something much deeper, like labels exploiting dead artists for money.
That's why they put out albums after you died. If they cared about you as an artist, they wouldn't do that.
There are plenty of reasons why he chose to abandon his career and purposefully become a forgotten rapper. But instead of this being a traditional fall off, this may be what the rapper from the LBC wanted all along. Hi, I'm Louaista. I make weekly video documentaries of things I'm into. And today, it's time to learn why Vince Staples sabotaged his own success. To understand that, let's go back to Vince's roots and the shocking truths he uncovered as he started his music career. When you hear a story about a rapper's come up, they'll often tell you that all they ever wanted to do was be on the mic. But not Vince Staples.
I don't really have anything against rap, I just didn't want to be a rapper. I mean, it wasn't like, fuck it, I'll never be a rapper, it just literally had never crossed my mind.
Instead, his youth on the north side of Long Beach led him down another road when he joined the naughty nasty Gangsta Crips.
I was a gang member for a very long time and a very good one. So I don't want to do that anymore. So I'd rather spend my time doing something good.
The son of a gang member who was in and out of jail and mostly raised by a single mother, Vince fell into that same path. In fact, he bought into that life completely. I started gangbanging because I wanted to kill people. I wanted to hurt people. There's no reason. It's a bloodthirst. That doesn't really sound like the hilarious, insightful Vince you probably know. And considering where he's at now, he's probably ashamed that he ever thought that way in the first place. As I said, Vince didn't intend to be a rapper and only started doing it to stay out of trouble. Suddenly, Vince went from hanging out with homies, chasing a dream, to becoming an honorary member of Odd Future, a crew created way back in 2010 by Tyler the Creator and featured rappers like Earl Sweatshirt, Frank Ocean, and many more. This led to a feature on Earl Sweatshirt's legendary Earl mixtape on the song E-Par. If you've heard this track and the graphic lyrics Vince spits on it, you'll probably be able to tell that he wasn't looking at rap as a career.
You know it's not rape if you like it, bitch, so sit down like a pretty hoe.
But something clicked when he had the opportunity to perform at one of Earl's shows. He suddenly realized there was an easy way to make money in the rap game. And as I'll explain later in this video, Vince's desire to secure the bag has remained a driving force throughout his career. However, unlike many artists who chase trends and chart hits for success, Vince took a different path. Either way, love for the art of rap was never the primary motivation for him. It simply provided an escape from the life he had been living. At the age of 17, Vince dropped his debut mixtape, Shine Cold Chain, which immediately created a buzz for his dark, gritty, and violent lyrics.
Using caps of target practice, they owe us a couple L's. How we gon' know the future when we barely know ourselves?
Many praised this album for his unique way of storytelling, its raw and aggressive tone, and some even claimed it was a masterpiece. This led him to catch the attention of Mac Miller, who gave him a major cosign early on in his career when he produced an album called The Stolen Youth Tape, which, by the way, Mac refused to take any royalties for. This further showcases how even legendary rappers like Mac Miller had seen so much potential in the young artist. At a time when the West Coast was back on the rise, Vince looked like he might play a crucial role in it, as he continued to drop more hits like Nate and Blue Suede. Songs like these helped him gain the attention of major labels, and Vince Staples officially signed his first deal with Def Jam in 2014. However, Vince claims that he only signed a deal because he really needed cash quickly.
So why even be on a major label? Like why? Like why not tell Def Jam beat it?
Because they helped me out when I needed the money, to be real. My mom was sick and I was going through something, you know.
After his Hell Can Wait EP was released, he had full attention of critics and fans, even getting a whopping 8.5 rating from hip-hop's most infamous review page, Pitchfork, and even a 7 out of 10 by internet's most busiest music nerd, Fantano. Vince had a ton of momentum, and it led him to release the debut album in 2015 called Summertime '06, and this is when things really started to pop off for him. Many people from my generation, who are really into hip-hop, consider this album a classic. However, for some, this album marked the extent of their interest in Vince's music. In Summertime '06, Vince told the story of his youth, similar to how Kendrick Lamar did in albums like Good Kid, Mad City. But what set Vince apart was that he wasn't just a passive observer like Kendrick Lamar was. He had actually lived through the experiences he was rapping about. This authenticity allowed him to create modern gangster rap anthems like Get Paid and Norf Norf, which till this day are some of his biggest songs. Even at his height of popularity, Vince was already being described as a gangster rapper with a conscience because of the way his rhymes avoided the glamorized versions of the streets that hip-hop made popular. But to begin with, he didn't want to be anyone's savior.
The job of my music is for me to tell the truth about my situation in my life, and what happens from there is up to anyone else who listens to it.
Looking back, this is pretty crazy because in the years to come, Vince would view his responsibilities as an artist in a whole new way, and that change was so important to explaining why he essentially derailed his own career. Even though he was seen as a gangster rapper, Vince never really fit the stereotype. For example, even though he came from the state that made the chronic and drinking 40s famous, Vince actually opted to staying sober, something that's extremely uncommon in the world of hip-hop these days.
Why is not smoking and drinking important to you?
It ain't even that it's just important, it's just nothing I did. Like, I'm not about to start now.
With the drug epidemic hip-hop's got on its hands now, Vince wasn't far off. This was another reason why people gravitated to him, because even back when he was a little immature, he always seemed wise beyond his years, while at the same time staying 100% real and hilarious with it too. I love hearing him speak and share his thoughts. This dude is so damn intelligent and has a lot of things discovered at such a young age. Wish there were more artists like him. On top of the gems he would drop during interviews, Vince stood out from the typical rap persona by not wearing fancy clothes or jewelry.
I have never worn a chain in my life and I never will. I had a G-Shock in like the 9th grade. That's about it.
He was also hilariously open about his opinions on Twitter and would often make headlines for his hot takes on the rap industry, such as calling Eminem trash and clowning rappers from Atlanta. Because of this, Vince was easy to root for, and although his album Summertime '06 didn't really sell crazy numbers, the impact that it made meant a lot more than Data, as did the rep that he got for being a great rapper. Still, to this day, tracks from that time period are his best performing and most widely loved releases. Unfortunately for those people who wanted Vince to stay in this lane, they had another thing coming. He would soon move far beyond that sound, letting the industry know that he wasn't going to sacrifice his beliefs for the rap game. People were not happy, and his label probably wasn't either. I mean, the guy was a ready-made star, but it soon became very clear that Vince couldn't care less. And from here on out, Vince would double down, alienating his audience in ways that none of the biggest experts in the music industry would ever believe. I don't know what the fuck some of these people are on. How can you hear Senorita, Norf Norf, Blue Suede, and then this and say Vince is getting better? He sounds so goddamn bored on every song. Vince Staples in general has gone downhill. Honestly, all of his newest singles and features have not been good at all. These are the type of comments that you will read on Reddit threads about the artistic evolution of Vince. But this transformation didn't happen solely due to a change in his music style. It was because Vince began to confront the trauma from his gang-related past that he often glorified in his songs. Initially, he appeared to be at ease with his past and even took pride in it.
If you on Long Beach and ask about me and my homies and what we did at that certain time period, we did a lot. We shifted a lot of stuff. Like, I wouldn't give up the era I grew up in for nothing, man, because we got, we changed the way that the city is ran. From 2006 to 2013 when we had a run. And I only say that because I'm doing what I'm doing now, but it was great, man. Like, I got a lot of homies that's gone over this. But the dead are in jail, so I would trade that for the world, because they died for the cause that I represent within this music.
That was back when he was promoting the song Blue Suede. And to say that his outlook has changed since then would be a massive understatement. After the release of his breakout album Summertime '06, it seemed that the album's exploration of his Crip past had allowed him to move beyond it and confront all the pain he had both experienced and caused to others. One major incident that seemed to have haunted him since then was the death of his best friend, Jabari Benton. This would change everything for Vince and lead him to head down the path to limiting his own mainstream appeal. How did the death of your close friend affect your life/music? Vince was once asked in an AMA on Reddit. It affected my life in every way possible. That's nothing a child should experience. In 2011, 15-year-old Jabari Benton was killed in his own hood after being shot in the abdomen and back. The butterfly effect that this would have in Vince's life really can't be understated. It was a turning point, but its importance didn't really become clear until he was already a star. Since he got famous, Vince has carried around some sense of survivor's Mars Gill over what happened to Jabari, alluding to his story in rhymes and during interviews. And when he does, it's clear it still cuts deep and makes him consider the impact of his bars.
I thought we was thugging. Niggas killed Jabari for nothing. Think I'm finna morning, nigga, over bars and you bugging.
After Summertime 06, Vince completely switched up his style. On Big Fish Theory, he dabbled with different sounds such as EDM and house music. And the lyrical content displayed completely changed as well. Instead of lyrics about being a gangsta crib, he was instead wondering, how am I supposed to have a good time when death and destruction is all I see, on songs like Party People. It was clear he no longer wanted to make music that would make people want to commit more acts of violence than he already saw throughout his entire life. He wanted to tell his story his way, but this time a little differently. Sadly, his fans weren't too amused with this at first, leading Vince to have to discuss the transition of his sound in various interviews.
Because like motherfuckers be like, man, go back to that gangster shit, blah blah. Nigga, the homie just got popped in his face at the park being 15 years old. And you want me to go back to that? So I can play something that's gonna make a nigga wanna get in the car.
Vince had a wake-up call, where he realized that rapping about pain and sorrow is what's popular across black entertainment, and he didn't want any part of it.
For black people in general, cuz we sell trauma. Every hot movie, 12 Years a Slave, and that Turner movie, Django. For black people, the black business is trauma. That's what we got. Keeping Up with the Kardashians, all these other shows, they having a good time. It's reality TV just chilling. We can't even have reality TV where niggas ain't trying to squabble.
Unfortunately, the public didn't necessarily get the message and expected him to continue making music like Norf Norf and Blue Suede for the rest of his career. And Vince opened up about how frustrating this was to him.
It's funny, like, I be getting the most random messages from the most square niggas, like, hey, bro, you need to get back to that gangster shit. Like, if you don't shut your bitch ass up, like, what do that even mean? You know what I'm saying?
They want you to talk about busting them guns,
yeah,
man.
Hey, why you ain't kill a nigga on this album, man? I'm not fucking with it. It's like, I be over that, bro, just cause that shit is so draining, man.
This majorly contributed to the self-sabotage of his own market share of the audience. Because if you know Vince, you'll know that he wasn't going to back down. And this only intensified in the years to come. If Vince simply played along like every other rapper in the industry, he could have easily had massive chart success. Summertime 06 landed number 2 on the rap charts, and tracks from the record remain his highest performing songs on YouTube by literally millions of views. But from here on out, Vince refused to play ball and deconstructed the idea that he was a rap star in a conventional way, rallying against basically every common trapping of the industry in the process. After Big Fish Theory, which is actually his best-selling album, every project Vince has put out since hasn't appealed to mainstream audiences and left them wishing he would go back to his early sound. Yeah, I don't get it. He was my favorite rapper up until Big Fish Theory, but nothing since then has held my attention. Still, Vince refuses to try and make amends, even with some fans abandoning him. If anything, he only dug his heels in further, making the music he wants to make and exposing the music industry in the process. But even though some people would see this as a career suicide, Vince is just too real for there to be any other option. And in the past few years, Stables has done a few things that would completely seal his fate. Since blowing up, Vince has always been a rebel that just so happened to have star quality. He never wanted the fame, he just wanted the financial rewards that came with it. A lot of things are purposely done that might hurt my career, but I don't care. Separation is very important to me. I don't strive to be a celebrity. My music has nothing to do with me at the end of the day. Once it's made and is purchased, it belongs to whoever. Vince said this way back in 2015, and he's only gotten more jaded about fame and fortune since. As a result, he could never live up to the potential that Def Jam first saw in him because he didn't want to sacrifice his authenticity for anyone. This is a guy that hilariously compared freestyling to slavery.
Cause I'm not gonna be sitting there rapping for no white man for no hour, man. That's the auction block, but
over the years, this has progressed from comments that make Charlemagne laugh to exposés on how the music industry monetizes people's struggles, pain, death, and murder.
This is a business. They want to use you and destroy you, get your money, and it's better for their business if you're dead. That's why they put out albums after you died. If they cared about you as an artist, they wouldn't do that. They would just give your parents the remainder of your contract.
Can you imagine Drake or Travis Scott saying something like that? Didn't think so. They're focused on keeping their position in the game. But Vince, he's still about the bag, but on his terms. Not for the label, the fans that want the old Vince back, or anything else. During his appearance on the Drink Champs podcast, he spoke about how the Big Fish Theory album was made to be synced for movies and has done that since.
They was going for the most abrupt sounds to kind of separate the scenes. So then I started making music with that in mind. So basically that changed my whole life.
It's crazy, like some rappers are out here fiending for Spotify playlist placements, while Vince is out here finessing the entertainment industry and getting soundtrack bags in Spider-Man, Black Panther, and more. Still, it's fair to say that this has come at a price. Between no longer making music that was designed for the mainstream and leaving Def Jam behind in 2019, it's really no surprise that his music isn't selling like it used to, particularly because a lot of people are open about the fact that they're not checking for him the same way, while others act like he's still a rookie just because they haven't heard anything other than his old gangsta rap cuts. I'ma be real, I didn't even know there was an album, much less a rollout until I saw this post. He has some top shelf tracks like Norf Norf, Blue Suede, but not a lot. Most of his stuff is a couple of levels below. Great artist with potential for sure. Other rappers' oversized egos would probably mean that they would be insulted by something like that. But Vince is content at where he's at and hasn't sacrificed himself to get there. Nowadays, Vince is in a weird position where most people know him better as a personality than for his records. There's plenty of people who won't have heard of his album FM, his 2020 self-titled record, or 2022's Ramona Park Broke My Heart. But they will always tune in whenever he pops up on the Joe Budden podcast or any other platform to deliver his hilarious hot takes. At this point, I think the media is where he would be likely to achieve more success, and many fans agree as well. When he finally listens to Joe Budden and gets a podcast, he's going to blow up. I would listen to a podcast all day without getting tired. With that kind of demand, many rappers would have taken a lucrative deal with Spotify, like Joe Rogan and Academics, immediately. But Vince always seems to prioritize his happiness and freedom over money and fame. Because even though he could have been a superstar, Vince is super comfortable where he is in life.
With me, it's like, man, it's like I'm getting paid like I went to a 4-year university.
Right.
Doing good. So that's enough for me.
Although he's an acclaimed rapper, Vince can still lead his life as he chooses, making music and money at his own pace. He might not break any sales records or get on the Forbes list, but it doesn't seem like any of that would make him happy if he had to forfeit being who he is to get there, or make the same gangsta rap as before. And even if he did, he's been so real for so long that fans would see right through it. Instead, Vince is stuck with a ceiling on his success, but it's one that he installed for himself. Also, fun fact before this video ends, I just want to say that I did meet Vince Staples way back in 2015, and I took this picture with him in Hollywood after one of his shows. It's a crazy story, like I didn't get to go to the show. I was like late. It was like a free concert or something, and I was like late and the security wouldn't let me in. So we like waited around and saw Vince come out the back, and like we just chopped it up with him right after. I thought he was gonna be mean and shit, but like he's a super chill ass dude. I actually got a Snapchat after, and like he spent like a few weeks chatting with me on Snapchat, which was pretty cool. And like he constantly reminded me how much he appreciated me as a fan. Like it was just so dope to see like a rapper / celebrity, you know, do that in this kind of day and age. But yeah, I just wanted to share that real quick. But if you did enjoy this video, consider subscribing and clicking one of the videos on the screen. Till next time, my friends. Peace.